Sunday soul. In Colombia, Sunday soul. Sunday soul. In Colombia, Sunday soul.
Uh-oh, hey, Michelle. Oh my God.
Welcome to Epic Events.
Look who it is, you guys. It's Michelle.
Hi, everyone.
Oh my gosh, Michelle. This is amazing.
Well, thank you.
We are here with none other than Michelle Edwards, restaurateur, entrepreneur, businesswoman, and I guess one of your greatest accomplishments is mom, right?
You're right.
Right. And we are sitting inside of the absolutely amazing, brand new, and as it was deemed the soft opening, the number one venue on its opening night in Columbia. Michelle, thanks so much for coming on Sunday Soul today.
Thank you for having me.
It certainly is a pleasure. Boy, you have been busy this year.
I have.
You have really been busy. This is quite the feat. And boy, did we have a good time at the soft opening. Now, what was that like for you?
Well, my nerves were everywhere, but it was really great to see all the support that I had, to see the different faces from so many different places. It really warmed my soul, and I loved it.
Such a great reward.
Correct.
For so much hard work. Tell us about Epic Events. What is this place, right? And what was your intention for opening up this establishment?
Well, I wanted to do something a little bit different. You know, people have known me for like the sports bar, nightlife type, but I wanted to have an event hall where in a sense I kind of brought all the aspects together. Kind of event hall, a little bit nightlife, a little bit chic, a contemporary style, and something different from some of the other event venues in the city.
And I know that you're one of those people that is adamant about not being put in a box.
Correct.
Do you feel like your other endeavors, because Michelle is the owner of Pondy River, I love Thursdays. I hope you don't get rid of Thursdays.
Thursdays will still be
Okay,
there.
Thursdays are good because I absolutely love jerk wings.
They'll still be there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thursdays are my favorite, you guys. Pondy River on Broad River Road in the Broad River District. And then your flagship operation, which is Mobay
Legacy.
Legacy Bar and Grill.
Yeah.
Michelle, what was it like starting out for you? Because Mobay is your first business, right, in Columbia.
Well, Mobay was actually a business that I started off as a manager.
Okay.
Okay, I started off as a manager there, and my kid's dad, he started the business, and then I just kind of took over when he left, and then I just started branding and branching out, and that's kind of how all that, started off.
Right. And then you move into Pondy River.
Correct.
What was it like during that process? Because, Legacy keeps you really busy.
Yes.
That's one of the popular places in Columbia.
That's my baby and my problem child in one.
Uh-oh. Okay. Well, certainly it's been consistent. We can say that you are a consistent businesswoman. So then when you go into the old Applebee's, I remember hearing on the radio, child, they done bought the Applebee's.
Yes.
What was it like opening Pondy River? Was it much different than Legacy?
It was, because we opened in the pandemic.
True.
Okay. So it was in June of 2020, I believe, and the pandemic was still around.
It was raging, right?
Correct. So it was a little bit different because obviously, COVID had everyone scared, but it was still rewarding. So I guess I can't really complain because, Legacy never shut down. If anything, it got busier. And then we just had less people to run it. And then Pondy River opened, and then it was kind of like, okay. Obviously, I didn't prepare for the pandemic because we didn't know it was going to hit.
Right.
But I had to still get it open. So everything was virtual inspections, and I had to wait. But it ended up paying off in the end. So
in the midst of many businesses here in Columbia really struggled to find their footing during the pandemic. We saw a mass exodus of even well-established family institutions, right? Even corporate entities, restaurants were really struggling. But it seemed like you were able to pivot each time. What was the driving force behind making sure that those businesses stayed open during such a difficult time while other businesses were closing?
Well, I think the demand for our food.
I know that's right.
That was a big thing because even when we went to curbside, we were out there, my management staff and myself, we were out there serving cars. The one thing that didn't change when everything shut down was people's desire to eat. Everyone gained a couple of COVID pounds. A lot of things changed. Lowe's was booming because people were home. They were redoing their homes, and moms and dads, they're not going to cook every day.
Right.
They're going to eat out, and so that was the one thing that really didn't change. And, God is good. And we were able to remain open, and we got busier.
Right. Tell me a little bit about, when we were here at the soft opening, we learned some things about you that many of us didn't know.
Yes.
We just had no idea. And we had Councilman Derek Pugh get up, and boy, that was such a touching speech that he gave about you. But many of us never knew that you struggled really with just becoming a citizen. Did we hear that right?
You're right.
Okay.
I think I was maybe a junior in college, and I was, my major was criminal justice. And I wasn't a citizen. And obviously, to vote, you have to be an American citizen. And to be in the criminal justice field, that was a grade. We had to vote. So my judge, it was Judge Rogers at the time, she said, well, reach out to Jim Clyburn, reach out to Strom Thurmond at the time, because he was in office and he was alive. She said, and see if they can help you. And so I wrote a letter, and Jim Clyburn wasn't able to help me, but Strom Thurmond at the time, he sent me a letter, and within 6 weeks, I became a citizen.
Wow. Where is it that you migrated?
From Germany.
From Germany. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, how exciting is that to be able to come to a place? And were you at Benedict College?
I was.
At VCVC.
That's right.
So now I get such love for that institution.
Class of 2000.
Absolutely. I enjoyed my experience at Benedict College.
I did.
Shout out to Dr. Linda Kershaw for being such a great mentor for me. But gosh, what a story of triumph, stepping out. What were some of the challenges that you can tell us about that you faced while trying to get to this point?
You know, people who know me kind of know not to underestimate me. Mm-hmm. But when you first branch out, a lot of times people look at you when you're a woman as if where you are or how you got there is predicated on a man. Mm-hmm. So that was an issue. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, people would come in for an interview, prime example, like girls would come and they'd be all cute with their heels on. And they'd be like, well, I'm here to interview with the owner. And they'd be like, okay, one sec. And they'd be like, well, yeah, is he here? And they were like, no, but she is. And they'd look like, you know, even some contractors, different vendors, mm-hmm. because they just felt like, oh, or she's the owner. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm not the type of person that has to be the face, if that makes sense. You know, sometimes people will talk to me, they don't know who I am. But I'm not going to parade around and say, you know, I don't have a shirt that says owner.
Right.
You know, that's not the type of person that I am. I'm more of a behind the scenes person. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times they look for a man. Mm. You know, and you know, and then the expression on their face when they're like, "You own this? Oh my God, that's awesome." But it's like, okay, you know. Yeah. But that's just, you know, this world, especially like the nightlife type of industry, is predominantly ran by men.
What has been your experience amongst those other male business owners or promoters?
Well, a lot of them, I'll be honest with you, a lot of them have always kind of supported me because prior to me doing this, I bartended. I was always on the scene to some capacity. And for the most part, they did. You know, they supported me. Mm-hmm. But then, you know, sometimes if they don't know who you are, you know, someone may come and think they could run a fast one on you or think you don't know, you know. Mm-hmm. But I mean, for the most part, everyone's been pretty much supportive and they kind of know what I'm capable of. And some of them will be like, damn, like, you know, you really did that.
Right.
And I'm proud of you. Like, how do you do what you do? Mm-hmm. You know? And so
that's really exciting because there are a number of women, right, that don't always have that degree of support when trying to do what it is that you're doing, you know, and certainly you haven't had it easy.
No, I'm definitely not. But I think a lot of times people see how people move and how they operate. And I think along the way, if not in the beginning, definitely now I've gained a lot of respect from the men because I wasn't like a one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
It was like I kept going, kept going, and I kept going.
Right.
So, you know, I see, you know, a lot of them now. I mean, and for the most part, you know, I kind of have their support.
It's like, get out of my way too.
You know, and it's like, hi. They're like, you know, so it's, you know, now it's really cool.
And I do think as well because you have such a great personality. Like, you know, I've seen you in the midst of opening up Pondy River, and I know that there have been moments that are pretty intense.
Definitely.
But at the end of the day, the way that you have managed your professional attitude with other people that you're working with, you know, I know it can get heated. You like, stop playing. Stop playing. But I've seen those moments. And I also know that I think many of us have a lot of respect for you because you are so respectful. How do you balance all of this with being a businesswoman, entrepreneur, and a mom? How do you do that?
Well, it's hard, mm-hmm. you know, to say the least. Mm-hmm. You know, you've definitely got to have a great support system because your kids, you know, my twins are 6. Mm-hmm. So they don't understand that mommy has to go to Legacy, go to Pondy River, be at the event hall. Mm-hmm. They just know that you're mommy. Right. And when you come in these doors, I don't care what you have going on, but we've got to read. You know, we've got to get clothes ready. We've got to make lunches.
Yeah.
You know, they don't care because they don't get it.
Yeah.
You know, but it's definitely been hard, to say the least. Being a mom is one of the hardest jobs I've ever encountered in my life.
Wow.
Because, you know, when it's a job, it's a job. But when you're a mom, it just doesn't stop.
There's no off day.
There's no off ever. There's never an off day, an off moment.
Right.
You know, it's just a constant.
Right.
And it is hard because, you know, when you leave the house and your kids are putting on their shoes and they're like, I'm coming with you. They put their rain boots on and you're going to the car and they're crying because they want to come with you. And you're like, dang, I've got to go. I've got to finish painting or I've got to do this. They don't care, you know? And that's why, like, at night when they crawl in my bed, you know, like in the middle of the night, my daughter, I call her my bed bug. She always finds her way in my bed, but I know it's because she just wants to, you know, to be close to me. So I'm like, okay, but I get it. And then you tell yourself as a woman, you're like, I'm doing it for all the right reasons. And then in the back of my mind, I'm like, Lord, I'm going to be a conversation on a therapy couch in about 12 years from now.
Like, I'll be crazy when it's all said and done.
But it's definitely, it's hard. But I know it'll be worth it in the end.
What advice would you give to other women, other entrepreneurs who are aspiring entrepreneurs like yourself, who may be a parent and who may be a little bit burdened by, you know, that level of obligation?
I would definitely say do your research, because a lot of times, and I still do it at times, like now, you know, you underestimate a project. Like when I started this project, I had a first-hand budget in mind, and I was like, okay, but whatever your budget is, multiply it times probably half the amount. An extra, you know, if you budget in 100, it's going to be like 150. You know, knowing what you're up against is very hard.
Right.
And if you have children, you definitely have to have an awesome support system.
What does that support system look like for you? Do you have a friend, a spouse, a partner?
No, I'm not married.
Okay.
But I've got 2 nannies.
Okay.
And I've got excuse me, my parents.
Okay.
So, and you know, and I've got my sisters here in Tampa. They work, you know, for me as well. So my parents, and between the parents and the nannies, I mean, that's what I've got. But I've just got a great system of people who love my kids. And that helps me out a lot because I'm comfortable. I don't have to call every hour to be like, are they okay?
Right.
They'll call me and be like, are you coming home? Let me see the camera. Are you really on Farrell Road? You know, because they have to check. They have to make sure that mom is on the way home.
Yeah, I got you. I love that. When you look back over all of this, when you look back over your life and the things that you have been able to accomplish, where do you go from here?
Well, I just keep going. Exactly where, I don't know.
Okay.
But, you know, there's always something else that I want to do. There's always something that I'm thinking about doing. And that's my biggest thing. Like, you can't be comfortable, because the minute you become comfortable, then you kind of, in a sense, stop dreaming. And that's really important to me because, like, at the end of the day, like, for right now, as long as I can continue on, I want to continue on, because when I'm able to stop, I want to stop.
Right.
And I want to be able to enjoy life.
Right.
Because I may not always have the energy that I have now.
Right.
So while it's here, let me just take advantage of it and do what it is I do. And a lot of times things just come to me. And I know this sounds really weird, because when people came to the grand opening, they were like, who designed this place? And I'm like, me. And they're like, you? Yeah, it was me. And a lot of it I designed along the way.
Okay.
Because it's like, I like that there. Okay, I think we need to put this there. And really, that's how it came to me. But people didn't believe that I did it.
So were you seeking and I think we talked about this a little bit during the soft opening, some of your other endeavors were a little bit more restrictive. But in this place, you really had a blank slate.
Correct.
To allow you, and we're going to show the viewers a lot of the footage that we got from the soft opening. You guys, it's going to be a lot of fun. You'll see this. But you really started with a blank slate, because it didn't look anything like this when you came.
No, it was 2 suites.
Yeah. So are we really looking at your personal style?
You are.
Okay. And how would you describe that personal style?
I'd say eclectic.
Okay.
Different. It's, definitely not really like and it's nothing wrong with it, like the Southern style. I wanted to get away from that because even though we're in the South, it doesn't mean that every event hall should, sort of speak, be,
Traditional.
correct.
Yeah. Traditional. And I love it because I think it does speak so much to a diverse audience. It really opens the space up to
Correct.
a lot of different types of events, not just one function or the other. Because, we get tired of, convention center.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. So looking for something that people can even come and kind of make their own too.
Correct.
Yeah. So what really was the inspiration behind all of this? When you walked into the doors, because you've had this place a while.
Since July.
So when you walked in the doors, tell us what you saw and what pulled you into the space.
Well, what I wanted to do was open an event hall. And I called my parents one night and I was like, what do you guys think if I open up an event hall and you and Dad help me run it? So my mom was like, she's German. She's like, what are you talking about? So I talked to my dad and he was like, okay, let's do it. He's retired. And so I wanted to kind of get all my family kind of on board. And I wanted to do something different and come out of the restaurant life. Because once you're in that restaurant life, you can get trapped there.
Okay.
And it's just different. And I wanted to be able to provide a space for various different types of people to come and have different events. You can have a quinceañera here. You can have a bar mitzvah. You can have a wedding. It's not like you're coming here to get oxtails or curry goat.
Right.
You can kind of, like you said, turn this into your own venture.
So you just saw it.
Yeah.
You walked into the space and you saw it. And I love how you said you want to be able to just keep dreaming.
Correct.
I think so often we lose ourselves in as they say down here, the rigmarole of life, constantly spinning that same story. And we're often pushed into those boxes.
Correct.
What is your greatest dream for Michelle?
To be everything people thought I wouldn't be. And that's basically it. Because I've always been that type of person that I want to prove you wrong. And for all the people and even myself, because sometimes I believe I am my biggest critic.
Aren't we all?
So, yeah. So a lot of times I'm like, what am I doing? Then I'm talking to myself and sometimes I answer myself back, like, Lord, but I just, I want to get to that mountaintop.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm not there yet, but that's my dream.
Yeah.
And my dream to prove everyone wrong. The people who thought, oh, well, she's not going to last, or she's this, or she's that. A lot of people have, preconceived notions that they don't know you. And then when they get to know you, because a lot of people are like, dang, you're pretty cool.
Okay. Duh.
Yeah. You see me Monday through Thursday. You see what I look like. I've got a bun in the back of my head. I've got some tights on and a legacy shirt. That's me.
Running around.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just, that's it.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't really have a lot to really prove to people. I think it's mainly proving to myself.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, it makes me feel good knowing that I'm able to provide the life that I am for my kids. And I want my kids to be proud of me.
Are you excited?
I am excited.
Okay.
Very excited.
I love that. Who are some of Michelle's role models? Do you have role models?
I do. My parents are definitely a big role model, because my mom was always the type of person that, she always put her foot down and, and people thought because, that she was mean, but she wasn't mean. My mom was very direct. And, sometimes people take being direct as being mean.
Well, here in the South, it's kind of aggressive to them.
Correct. It's aggressive.
Yeah.
And it's so funny that you say that because my contractor, Derek, used to say to me, Michelle, now don't get all aggressive on me. But it's not that I'm being aggressive.
Right.
That's just how we as European women and people just generally are.
Yeah. Business people.
Yeah. And even business people, but just people that even if you're not in a business. In Germany, we say what we mean.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And mean what we say. So, that's just how we are. But my mom, she's always been a strong woman in my life. That's always been there. My dad,
Is your dad African American?
he is.
Okay. Awesome. Because you definitely represent for the women of color.
Yeah.
Your black girl.
Oh, and
magic be
listen,
popping.
him and my mom, they're my biggest cheerleaders.
Okay.
My dad tells everybody that his daughter owns Legacy Bar and Grill. Like, he is definitely.
He's a big cheerleader.
He's a big
you.
cheerleader for me.
What was that experience like growing up a biracial or mixed race person in Germany?
It was definitely hard because it was kind of like you didn't fit in. Like, it was kind of one of those things where you were too black for the white people and too white for the black people. So there was definitely a lot of discrimination going on when I was little. Like, certain kids weren't allowed to play with me because my dad was black. And then, and then it was like I was teased. They would call me a mutt or a zebra.
Oh, wow.
My parents had to go and talk to people. And, back then, I was born in 1978. So in the 1980s, there were mixed kids. We were military.
Right.
And that happened. So, but still, like, I faced a lot of discrimination. I did. I mean, growing up. But, I overcame it. And that's why when I went to Benedict, that was a big move for me. Because at that point, because I'd always been raised with different races. And when I got to Benedict, it was an HBCU.
A truly black experience.
So it was. And I really got to relate with, my people. And, my freshman year, I was a little timid. But then my sophomore year, I opened up and then there was no turning back.
Right.
And that was my nickname at Benedict. They called me White Girl. They're like, hey, white girl.
But so connecting with those roots, it sounds like that was a moment of a little bit of reconciliation.
Correct.
Yeah, like it felt good.
It did.
To connect with a part of you. Do you feel like in Germany, that was what was missing for you? Was being able to reconnect with your black roots?
I mean, I wouldn't say it was really, missing. It's just that, people know better when they're taught better. So people don't just wake up and hate.
Right.
They're taught that. So, for the kids that weren't allowed to play with me because my dad was black, that's what they were taught.
Yeah.
So, and I think a lot of it was just ignorance. And that was back then, and we lived off post at the time. Like the military kids, we were military, we could play, but when we lived off post, that's some of the stuff that, that we faced.
And here we are now.
Exactly.
And in what some would say the deepest part of the South.
Yeah.
And we are dealing with extremists in the state house even now. Some would say Strom Thurmond was one of those people, and yet he helped you.
And it makes sense why. And this is before we found out about his daughter Essie, I believe. And so once it came out about him having a biracial daughter, it made sense to me.
Really?
Because I believe that he had this aha moment. And he was able to help a black girl from a black institution. When someone that I considered one of my people wasn't able to help me. And so that was a big thing for me. And that's why I could never really say anything bad about Strom Thurmond because, here I asked Jim Clyburn, he couldn't help me. But Strom Thurmond helped me. And not only that, I was a citizen in 6 weeks because my process was already in the works. I went to Mount Pleasant, I was sworn in, and I was a citizen. And I never understood why until the moment we found out that he had a biracial daughter. And that's when I realized that he probably was like, he felt obligated to help me because of
his history,
correct,
perhaps, his past. What were the lessons for you in that?
I think that in that, I just realized that sometimes, you receive blessings where you least expect them. I think
and
that
from
exactly. And that goes back to what I said, where like hate, you're not born to hate, you're taught to hate. And that was one of the things that probably happened with him. I mean, we're here in the South. Of course, maybe he loved this woman. We don't know, but in that day and age, you couldn't love a black woman.
Right. Not openly.
Not openly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's been American history since the
Correct.
1600s. I find that to be so profound because we're at a time where we have such an amazing opportunity to not just bridge generational gaps, but we have an opportunity to be able to close racial divides.
Correct.
I myself am biracial, so I understand what that looks like.
Mhm.
You know, being not Mexican enough, not being
Black enough. Where the light-skinned girls, you know, where the darker skinned girls, you know, are mad at you. The lighter skinned girls, the white girls, you know. I mean, yeah, it's a lot of back and forth.
Yeah, you
but
got tap water curls. We don't like you. You got tap water curls. but I
you got good hair.
Yeah, you got good hair.
But in your mind, you don't got good hair.
It's hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is that? What is good hair?
Okay.
Hair is probably good if it's not between your toes.
Yeah, exactly.
But on my head, it's just hair.
That goes back to, you know, and a lot of people may not agree with it, but a lot of times we, as a people, black people, we hold each other down. Mm-hmm. And I feel like if we supported each other the way we try to tear each other down, you know, there wouldn't be anything we couldn't handle together. Right. And that's what bothers me because a lot of us, we hate on each other. Mm-hmm. We should be praising people when they open a business because at the end of the day, look what we as black people have done over the years, what we're doing. There are so many black business owners in this city who actually really sits there and thinks, like, when we had all these people in here on my soft opening, like almost over half of the people that were here had their own thing going on. Yeah. Like if we could just
full of entrepreneurs.
If we could stick together, like we party together.
Yeah.
Then we wouldn't have some of the issues that we have. But it's like we tear each other down because we're jealous or we don't want this person to have this. But there's enough money here for everyone. And everyone offers a different service.
Right.
You
There's
know?
Plenty of room.
Yeah, we should support each other. Oh, I can't, you know, facilitate you. But, you know, if you call down the street, go ahead. You know, they might be able to facilitate you. And it should be vice versa. We shouldn't be tearing each other down and trying to stop each other from having events or whatever the case may be. No. We're not like that.
And that's something that I've actually run into. And that I think sometimes it's really hurtful. It broods that toxicity too. After you've had that kind of experience,
you're right.
You begin thinking, oh, is this what it's going to be like every time?
Correct.
Yeah. When it's free to share a post, it's a like, it's free. It won't cost you anything.
Correct. And then, you know, I noticed that one of my girlfriends called me and she was like, you know, people viewed my page of the event. I think it was like 1,200 times. And she was like, and only a couple of people commented. Now, had it been something negative that she had put, everybody would have commented on it.
Would have jumped right on board.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And, you know, and this, sometimes we as a people, that's what we do. We cling to the negative, to the negativity, and we shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
You know,
one of the things that, you know, speaking about black businesses, I love that when I think about what you've been able to do is create jobs.
Correct.
We have to start becoming more entrepreneurial, shopping with each other, start sharing a lot more. What do you think in your lived experience is keeping us from being able to do that?
Hating each other, the hate. And not so much like, I mean, like the jealousy, the envy, because I think that's a big issue, you know, or pride. Because a lot of times someone may feel like, well, I can't ask her a question because then she may think I don't know what I'm doing.
Or I don't have anything.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And my thing is, you know, there's a couple of people that are in the industry where we call each other up from anything to, you know, can I borrow some register receipt paper to, you know, listen, did you get this notice in the mail? Or, you know, we help each other out and we support each other. And that's what it's about. Yeah. You know, every Friday before I go to work, I stop and I support someone who has a bar that's, you know, right by my house. And I don't have a problem doing that. You know, because you share the love with people. And even if they don't share the love with you, they can never say, you know what, she doesn't support me. And I can't support everyone and I won't support every business. But at the end of the day, we just need to, you know, just try to uplift each other and stop trying to tear each other down and help each other. So when these people are opening up businesses, we can help each other open up businesses the correct way.
Right.
You know?
What's the correct way of opening up a business? Because let's face it, you've opened up many now.
I mean, and people hate it, but it's the correct way is following it by the guidelines. As much as it may not, you may not want to, but you have to, because the one thing, when everything falls down, if your business is not legit, that's where they will get you every single time.
Oh, I see where you're going. Making sure that it's up to code.
Making sure that whatever you say it is what it really is.
Uh-oh.
Because then it makes it bad for the businesses that are really that.
It makes it very difficult.
Yeah. So now it's like, when you renew your license, you have to sign like 12 different pages about you are what you say you are. You're not a strip club. You're not that. And, bad businesses hinder all businesses. And you know that when I opened up Pond River, they protested my license because they thought that I was going to be a strip club.
Yeah.
I went to community meetings with you to let people know that, look, I have no intention on being a strip club. I'm really going to be a restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what we went to meetings. Okay?
Yeah, we went to meetings. Yes. I had you
multiple meetings. And you do better when you know better.
You do better when you know better. But there are some people that really do not want it to get out where their investments come from, how they're handling their books. And the one thing that really was difficult for me, because we were so proud of Pondy River when it opened up. And we opened up with a bang.
Yeah.
We opened up with a bang. That was fun.
Yeah.
But the way that the businesses around us opened up, broods crime, broods conditions that are unfavorable. Has some of those wayward businesses hindered your business? Have you experienced any of that?
Well, I mean, I've experienced when, there was a shooting or something. I'm servicing my AC and there are bullets on the roof. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And one particular night when there was a shooting at the Waffle House, we used to clean our parking lot at night. This particular night, if the guy who cleaned the parking lot would have been like 3 minutes earlier in viewing the cameras, because anytime anything happens on Broad River, the police come to me because I've got an awesome camera system. And he would have been in the crossfire, and so we stopped cleaning the parking lot at night. And we started doing it in the morning time. But anytime something negative happens within, in the community, whether you're directly there or not, everyone's impacted.
Yeah.
Because now the neighbors are looking at all the Black businesses, not just the one that was involved, because now they're scared.
And giving into stereotypes.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest things, is you're already stereotyped as a Black business. So when bad things happen, to me, it upsets me, because now we're feeding into that stereotype.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we put faith in the wrong people.
Yeah.
And that's what happens a lot of times with us. A lot of people who've been in office for a very long time, but what are you really doing?
I remember you going to one of the meetings with me, and you made sure to let residents know, I'm coming in as part of the community too.
Correct.
And I remember you even paying residential dues.
Correct.
To make sure that people understood that.
Because there was a person at the meeting, we won't say any names,
yeah,
that was telling people that the bank closed because I was moving in. No, the bank was closing for period. Which I got with, because I bank with that bank.
Yeah.
So, I found that out. It was just like false rumors, that were getting started that was scaring people.
And they were shook when we walked in the door.
Hence them protesting the license.
Right.
And then one of the people that protested the license, she wrote me a letter and apologized.
Wow.
And, and she told me that she was going through cancer and so on and so forth, and that she had been told something that was untrue.
That was untrue.
Yeah.
And that's big, because I knew after going over there myself, having been told the same thing, I said, I don't think that's right. I remember going to Applebee's, because that was the karaoke spot. That was where we did karaoke. And there wasn't a lot of bother about something going on, right, for a long time. But to go over there and see what you were doing, I said, I think it's going to be really important that if we want to change our community, we've got to get behind Black business, female-led business. And I knew after the first time I met you that you were going in the right direction. I think where we are today, we've seen, since the Alliance was created, more than a dozen new businesses being created. in the district. We've seen a reduction in crime. We've seen more residents be connected to the resources that they need.
You know, a lot of times, you know, people have this preconception that Black businesses are going to cause issues. But like, okay, let's just take a Waffle House, for example, right? A Waffle House will have a shooting. They don't say, let's close the Waffle House down.
They do not.
Okay?
Yeah.
A Black business has a shooting. We've got to close that business down. A Walmart has a shooting. You don't see these people wanting to close a Walmart down. They've had plenty of shootings.
Right.
Waffle House has had plenty of shootings,
Right.
but they're not on the news trying to shut it down.
Right.
So why do we try to shut these other businesses down?
Yeah.
Now, granted, if a business is a nuisance and they are contributing to the delinquency of what's going on, by all means, that's something that law enforcement, SLED, the DOR, or whatever has to figure out. But you can be, that's just like you can have a guest come in your house. They might just start acting crazy and start fighting people.
Right.
That doesn't mean we're going to close your house down. What that means is you're not going to have that guest come back.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of times that's what happens with Black businesses. And I don't like that because when they have those issues in 5 Points or in other businesses, they're not trying to shut them down.
Right.
It's okay for them to happen there. But when it happens in a Black business, the answer is always, let's shut it down.
Right.
Do you actually think that's going to stop us?
Yeah.
No. We're going to pack up and we're going to go to another building.
And what
And we're going to do it again.
Eliminating jobs,
That is correct.
opportunities in that community.
I don't know if Richland County still does it, but you could hire them to be on your property.
Right.
You know, and I know in Lexington here, you can do the same.
Right.
You know, and let us be a team,
Right.
not just you sit in a car while whatever's going on and you're making $40 or $45 an hour. We should work together as business owners, the police. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, when something goes wrong, you come knocking on my door for video.
Now, I remember that. Now,
They come on anything that's ever happened on Broad River, I promise you.
Yeah.
They're like, we love your camera system.
Yeah.
And I work with the police.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't have a problem doing that.
So why shut me down if something happens that doesn't have anything to do with me?
Exactly.
Doesn't have anything to do
I
with
mean,
me.
and they haven't tried to shut me down, but that's the answer
Yeah.
to Black businesses when they have issues.
Right.
Just shut it down because that just pacifies, you know, the community. Like, okay, they're going to shut them down, so that's okay.
Yeah.
But that's not the answer because now you have people who don't have jobs, and 9 times out of 10, they're going to open up another business.
One that
They're
you
not
may
just,
not
yeah,
want.
that you, exactly. So, you know, there's, you know, along with that comes community, you know, community compliance is what I'd like to call it.
Yeah.
Where the police and everyone gets together, and at one point in time, I could call like Richland County and say, listen, I'm having issues. Can you guys send me a deputy? Or let's sit down. Let's come up with a plan. And I was able to sit down and let them know, listen, we need to do something because I'm in fear that something may happen.
Right.
And they would say, okay, because
Let's be proactive.
now I've done my due diligence. So now when something happens, you can never say, oh, she didn't come to me because she sat here with me and here's my email. You gotta create a paper trail.
Yeah.
Because everyone always has to have a fall guy.
Yeah.
Always.
Don't be that fall
Don't
guy.
be that fall guy.
Yeah. A lot of Black businesses seem to be a little unprepared,
Yeah.
not keeping those things.
And they don't know. And that's where, like, being a Black just a business owner, period, whether you're a woman, a man, or whatever, I believe like they should really give like courses on what it is. Or, you know, and I don't have a problem. Someone calls me and asks me about business. I said, listen.
OBO people, City of Columbia, Office of Business Opportunity, Richland County Office of Business Opportunity. There are those programs that are available for you there. And to make sure that you are connected, we've got to get involved ourselves.
Yeah.
We've got to show some initiative.
Yes.
Because
and if you don't know, you can go to these places, but a lot of times you're going to get the generic answer.
Yeah.
There aren't too many people that are going to sit down with you and break this whole process down to you and be real about it.
Right.
You know, it's a hard thing. And I always tell people, you want your own business? Okay, be ready.
Be ready.
That's my number one advice. Be ready.
Is to be ready.
Be ready. Because it's never going to be what you think it's going to be.
Right.
It's rewarding, but not always.
There's a lot that comes with it.
Correct. There's a lot of responsibility behind success. And I think I said that in my, my speech the other day, with every success comes sacrifice. And that's true.
You guys, let's take a moment and take a look at Michelle's speech from the soft opening. And I want to give you guys a quick peek and hear a word from our sponsors. And you're going to love this. We'll be right back with you. Again, a little more with Michelle Edwards.
So I sincerely want to say thank you and welcome to Epic Events. Thank you. I am truly blessed to have such supporting people in my life, and I want to express my gratitude to everyone who has come out tonight to help celebrate Epic Events. A special thanks to all of you who have been a part of my life and all of my business ventures throughout the years. I will never forget those who have always believed and supported me in all my endeavors. I've learned a lot throughout my journeys, but one thing that resonates more than anything is that I didn't get here alone. This may have been my vision, but without some very incredible people, it would still be just a dream. So in saying that, I have to take a moment to recognize the group of people that made it all possible. Now let me say this, they didn't want me to recognize them, but they know I don't listen. So from the early morning calls to the late night texts and the last minute to-do list, I have to take a minute to give them the recognition. Success doesn't come without sacrifice, and one of the biggest sacrifices we as women face is juggling and struggling with work and family. So today is extra special for me because for the first time since they were born, my twins, Nigel and Trinity, are old enough to share this moment with me. So I'd like to bring them up to the stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with none other than Miss Michelle Edwards. Now, during the break, like I am truly ready to see real change happen in the New South. And I think Epic Events is, I think it's that springboard. I think what you're offering is people a new outlook of what could be, what can be, if you just keep dreaming.
Correct.
What is your advice for the young people coming up who are seeing this, who really want to connect with people that are outside, who want to aspire to be greater, who want to keep dreaming? What do you say to those young people?
Don't give up.
Mm-hmm.
Keep dreaming and don't give up.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a dream, see it through,
Mm-hmm.
no matter what, because at the end of the day, it's your dream.
Mm-hmm.
And no one should be able to tell you to not do it or stop you from doing it. You know, do what's in your heart.
Here in the South, sometimes it feels really difficult because the people that look like us, who are in a position of power, are so stuck in keeping that power that they've allowed so many people to starve out.
Correct. And it's a politic thing. And I
Yeah.
think that, you know, South Carolina is one of those states where everything's politically motivated.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big problem because politics plays a big part in a lot of things, even behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And I guess that's hard for me. You know, it's hard for me to play politics,
Mm-hmm.
but I know that at some point I'm going to have to, I
Mhm.
guess. And I guess I do play politics to a certain extent, but you know, I'm just going to be me.
Because you're moving up the ladder, girl.
Yes.
You moving up the
I'm
ladder.
moving up.
So,
you're right.
and you know that the real monsters sit
All
high.
at the top.
They sit
Yeah.
high. Those are the real thugs, the real monsters.
That's all right.
And I think it's so interesting that you and I see who those people are.
Oh, yeah, we know who they are.
We know who they are.
But you got to play the game.
You got to play the game. Well, listen, Michelle, I appreciate you so much.
I
for
appreciate
coming
you.
on today. I have enjoyed this so much.
Thank you.
Thank you
I
so very
appreciate
much.
you.
I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Michelle Edwards, everyone. For
Thank
more
you.
information about Epic Events, go to CUBNSC.com. The information will be located below in the comments section. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe, and click that notifications button so you can always get up to the date videos and more content as we make it available to you. Thank you all so much for tuning in to this week's episode of Sunday Soul.